So I'm born in 1985, and growing up in the 90s and 2000, there was this standard of being skinny. Kate Moss was the supermodel, and I have nothing against Kate Moss. I just want to explain you that this was actually the beauty standard of the time. I remember watching Friends, and Rachel and Monica was actually very skinny. The Spice Girls was super skinny. Britney Spears had this super skinny jeans, very low waist. And I grown up thinking that I had to be very skinny to fit into the beauty standard. And I was a gymnast for many years, and I actually didn't really had a skinny shape. I had very strong legs and very strong glutes. In fact, I joined the gym at the age of 18 because I wanted to shrink. I wanted to be smaller, and I used to do a lot of cardio, and I used to run on this treadmill for hours to lose weight. So growing up in the 2000 or 90s or 2000, we actually didn't had TikTok, we didn't had Instagram, we didn't even had a phone, but we had magazine. And in this magazine, you would have all these diets that were super restrictive. I remember thinking I needed to do this diet, and I was only quite young. I was 10 or 12 because I never felt that I was in the standard of being skinny or like some of my friends, because I had quite strong legs and strong glutes. In my mom magazine, seeing this diet, like lose 10 pounds 2 weeks before the summer, like some crazy numbers, or there was always this portrait of very skinny model and woman. My message today is not that you shouldn't want to look fit. My message is that the message that we had at this time was extremely toxic. And it was toxic because it was just the wrong message. Even one of my clients mentioned, do you remember this Special K brand? And we had behind the box, there was this diet of eating 2 bowls of cereals per day and you will lose weight. And I remember doing this diet. And if you think about this day, it's just insane. It's just so toxic to tell someone that you could lose weight by eating 2 bowls of cereals, which you probably will, but it's just not what your body needs. The message around losing weight for female is just extremely toxic instead of being extremely educative. This is the reason why so many women these days are struggling with their body, because for years they've been told that you needed to get this unhealthy habit that was just disguised as wellness. Instead of educating women around food, around fitness, everything was around restriction, everything around doing more cardio, eating less, when in fact, this is not what you need. In my job, I see it every day. You see my client, they're around my age, sometimes a little bit younger, sometimes a little bit older, but they all have one thing in common. They all did yo-yo dieting, and they all did yo-yo dieting because there is no education on how to actually lose weight and keep the weight off. Yo-yo dieting is very common because you do extreme diet, you cut carbs, you do a lot of cardio, you will completely restrict yourself during the week, and when the weekend happen, or when the weekend comes in or holiday comes in, you just binge because you've been restrictive for so long, and you building this really emotional relationship with food. And because you're so emotional around food, you fear carbs, you fear to gain weight constantly. This is in your mind all the time. You always think like, oh my God, if I'm gonna eat this, I'm gonna gain weight. Oh, on Monday, I'm gonna do a diet and I'm gonna lose weight. And then the weight come back. When you've been dieting for years, what happened is your body just adapts. It adapts to that low food that you have. And as soon as you eat a little bit more, your body just rebounds. And this is the reason why you are not able to keep the weight off. You are missing a key step into your fat loss phase. You're missing a key step into your weight loss phase. To keep the weight off, you need to do a reverse diet. It's not I might do, is that it's the must do phase. And I know for a fact that for some women, it feels terrifying. It feels terrifying because for years, you've been told that to lose weight, you need to eat less, but eating less forever is just not sustainable. Eventually, your body stops working with you. When you've been suffering in the diet, what happens is your body suffer, your recovery suffer, your stress hormone suffers, well, your hormone are all over the place, your hunger cue are actually confused, and your body is just exhausted. Your body just need food and need to trust food again. A reverse diet will actually allow you to increase your calories strategically, and it will actually allow you to trust to eat more without the fear of gaining weight again. And there is another thing about the diet culture that has been extremely damaging for women, is the saying that you shouldn't lift weight because you will get bulky, because you will get super muscly, when in fact, to lose weight, you should lift weight. Weightlifting is actually your best friend when you want to lose weight and when you want to get in shape. More muscle you build, the stronger you become, more toned your body look, more calorie you just burn at rest, meaning you burn calories while doing nothing. And finally, more muscle you have, more food you can eat while you're maintaining your shape. And this is why weightlifting is not just about aesthetic, it's actually freedom. It's freedom from dieting. And above the fact that it's great for fat loss, ladies, your muscle will naturally decrease after the age of 30. Imagine that. So if you do not lift weight, if you do not increase your muscle mass, slowly, that's the reason why it's actually harder for you to lose weight. But also think about your longevity, think about your older days, because less muscle mass you have, more fragile you will be, and you will also lose your bone density. The only way to maintain your bone density is to lift weight. For years, we've been saying to women that you need to do cardio to lose weight. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do cardio or cardio is the enemy. You know, this is not what I'm saying, but the purpose is different. Weightlifting is actually the best thing women can do for fat loss, for confidence, for health, and for your longevity. And what I find the most sad about the diet culture is how it actually made women so disconnected from themselves. So many women believe that their worth depending on the scale, depending on how skinny they look, and just depending on how small they had to be to look attractive. And I actually think an entire generation of women became exhausted of wanting to be the standard of beauty of something that just was never sustainable in the first place. I feel there is a little bit more awareness that what you need is not necessarily another diet, and it's most of all education. Education around food, education about training, education around what your body needs to look the way you want it to look. I feel like fitness is no longer about becoming smaller, but more about becoming healthier and stronger. If you've been struggling with your body, if you've been struggling with, wanting to lose weight, please understand that the problem is not you. The problem is the information that we have, and the problem is that for years we've been told that we needed to punish our body instead of building it. If this resonates with you, I would actually love to hear in the comment your experience, to hear your point of view as well. Did you grow up in the 90s, 2000, or are you actually facing this growing up in this day and age with social media? And do you think the diet culture had a huge impact on you? That's it for me, and if you want more health and fitness advice, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Bye.